There's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. You know, the public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
In 2011, we had spoken about chariots of fire coming from the heavens, which are of the Most High's platoons, which are of the Most High's armies in the heavens. So now we're in 2025, and over the course of the last 3 years, we've had testimony after testimony after testimonies from military generals, colonels, lieutenants, concerning these chariots of fire in the sky and around military bases and around nuclear bases. And it's been reaping havoc in the sky for NASA and other industries in other countries like NASA.
The drones up in the sky as of right now in New Jersey and stuff, in Texas, everywhere. Like, y'all don't gotta be afraid. Them are man-made drones. And we're doing the launching or whatever. Now, what you do have to be concerned of, my bad, my eye, but it's the orbs that's inside the sky that y'all see that's glowing and stuff, that's shooting down the drones and all that. That's not a part of us. Them are actually real life aliens. Like, aliens do exist. They're above and they're below us. Yes, they do exist. And 2025 there will be a lot more of exposing the truth. Now, I can't say the reason why, but because it's already out here, so I can speak on this. Aliens are real, and we will have to evacuate sooner than later. But just be careful, keep looking up in the sky. We are.
Chair. Mr. Elizondo, you just said something interesting. You said they don't seem to be hiding. They don't seem to be hiding. The UAP sightings are becoming increasingly brash, if you will. And, you know, we've been hearing about these for years, but they've generally been isolated and not as consistent and over-critical military installations. Would you say that's fair? Is this becoming increasingly often? Is it happening more and more?
Great question, sir. Let me see if I can answer this for you. Certainly, there seems to be some indication that they're being provocative. The question is it the frequency increasing? And really the response is it depends. Yes, it's possible that there is an increase in frequency, but it's also possible that there's heightened awareness now, and there's also more pervasiveness of technology out there that's collecting this information and that can record this information. So we're not quite sure yet if it's actually an increase in numbers of these events, or is it that we have better equipment now that to record these things, and we have a better ability, if you will, to analyze these things.
And that's my next question. It seems that a lot of these sightings occur near military installations. Do you think that these UAPs are intentionally targeting military installations, or do you think that we have increased abilities to monitor surrounding the military installations?
Sir, maybe both.
So pay attention to what we're going to go into. This is prophetic, but I'm going to bring out some books other than the scriptures to show you. We'll start out with some scriptures. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 13. And it reads here, "And it came to pass, when I prophesied, that Pelatiah, the son of Benaniah, died. Then fell I down upon my face, and cried with a loud voice, and said, Ah, Yahweh, my power, wilt thou make a full end of the remnant of Israel," or Yasharallah. Now this is the ancient Israel that Ezekiel is speaking of, not the present Israel. This is the Israelites of antiquity that are no longer present in the land. And as we read, it'll tell you. Verse 14, again the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, thy brethren, even thy brethren, the men of thy kindred, and all the house of Israel, holy are they, unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get ye far from the Most High. Unto us is this land given in possession. Verse 16, therefore say, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, our power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries whither they shall come. So in all the countries where we were scattered by slave ships, which is dealing with the transatlantic slave trade, not only the Negroes, but also the indigenous Indians who were scattered to the Americas. Indigenous Indians were scattered into Europe, Germany. They were scattered into South and North Africa. They were scattered also into the islands. There's a lot of history on that most people don't know about. Let's go to verse 17. So that's who it's speaking of. Verse 17, therefore say, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, Yahweh, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered. And I will give you the land of Israel, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. And I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them an heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes, and keep my ordinances, and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power. So this is what's coming. Those of us who are scattered to the four corners of the earth, that are renewing our spirit through the covenant of HAMASHAYACH Yahawashi that was given to us, who are the 12 tribes of Israel, are going to be redeemed. And right now, the chariots of fire are a part of that. Go back to Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 21. And it reads here, But as for them whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things, meaning they don't praise the Most High, meaning they don't believe in the Most High or keep his laws. These are people who follow other gods. These are people who don't believe in the Son, HAMASHAYACH Yahawashi. I'll read it again. But as for those whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things, and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads, saith the Most High. These Israelites are not going to make it into the kingdom. Verse 22, Then did the cherubims, what are cherubims? These are angels. These are chariots of fire. Then did the cherubims lift up their wings, and the wheels beside them. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was over them above. And the glory of the Most High went up from the midst of the city and upon the mountain, which is on the east side of the city. So when it talks about the glory of the Most High of Israel was over them above, these are the chariots. They're all over the world now. They're over these small congregations, these small sanctuaries that are in the midst of many countries, which are the Israelites, who preach the Most High's word in season and out of season. When it comes to the scriptures, you know we have to precept everything. And what precept means is get a connecting verse that goes along with the verse in prophecy that we bring out. So we're going to get a connecting verse that goes along with prophecy. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in mine house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Most High Yahweh fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, see that, chariots of fire, From the appearance of his loins even downward, fire. And from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. Fair use. I don't monetize any of my videos, so I don't make money off of this stuff. This stuff should be done for free to give to you. The Most High says, give the truth freely. So I'm giving it to you freely. Also, look how nervous this guy is. Now, this guy is the top ranking official for the military. Look how nervous he is when explaining these UAPs, aka UFOs.
Manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light and then it was a triangle. It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze, dead. I remember how thick it was. It was between 1 to 2 stories thick, equilateral triangle. I could never see the top of it, and the edges were 90 degrees. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner, and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture where you have the colors and then the black background. So the craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft. I'm under this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then the center light flashes 2 to 3 times, no sound, immediately shoots up to commercial jet level minimum, in my opinion, and I immediately feel static electricity all over my body, and then I smell the smell of after a thunderstorm or lightning storm.
So he saw this huge chariot, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber, right? So he saw this huge angel on a chariot, and he put forth the form of a hand and took me by a lock of mine head, and the Spirit lifted me up in between the earth and the heaven. So he was in between the earth and the heaven, and he was watching the earth like a globe spinning in a movie, and brought me in the visions of the Most High to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. So there's that image of jealousy again. So this is prophetic. Verse 4, and behold, the glory of the Most High of Israel was there according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way towards the north. Every country in the north. And we all know what countries are in the north of the earth. The European countries and the American countries. So I lift up mine eyes the way toward the north. And behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. Right? When you look at Rome, the image of jealousy is the Catholic Church. That's the image of jealousy. It's jealous because it wants to imitate what we have, which is the true power of heaven, the God of the Israelites. It wants to imitate what we had. That's why they moved the altar of Pontius Pilate from Jerusalem to Rome. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians. Let's find out what that image of jealousy is. 2 Thessalonians chapter verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. This goes into that Ezekiel chapter 13, when it says some will not change. Some will stay within that abomination of following the seed of jealousy. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he is the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. So this is that seat of jealousy that Ezekiel was speaking of. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time, the seed of jealousy. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Most High Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. So anything that imitates and takes the fame of that imitation is Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. What is the love of the truth? That the Israelites are going to be redeemed through Yahawashi by keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, and the faith of HAMASHAYACH. The faith. You can't have faith in the Catholic Church or any of these abominations or any of these doctrines pushed by the Catholic Church into all Christian congregations, because the true Christianity came from the Hebrews. It was changed during the time of Constantine. That is a new doctrine of Christianity. All right, so zooming into the future, and let's see if there are other people who have these spiritual encounters as Ezekiel did. So this book is called Encounters. A psychologist reveals case studies of abductions by extraterrestrials. Ida Fior, PhD. Now, abductions. Okay, so this book was published in 1989. All right, we're going to jump over to page 277. And just follow me as we go through this book. So we're going to start off with the person who's having these abductions. On page 277, the second paragraph, it reads, "That's too bad, but understandable. Diane, let's get back to what we will be starting with today. Your dream of the UFO 9 years ago. Did anything happen after that 2020 show?" All right, let's drop down. It reads here in the highlighted area, "Do you feel you have been contacted since you were a child? One interesting thing comes to mind. One time in Washington, D.C., I was about 20, and I was standing with a man talking in the parking lot of my apartment. We were looking at the stars. It was a beautiful night. We were looking up and talking about something else, and we saw a UFO. I mean, we saw it. That was not imagination or anything. It was red, glowing, and it was moving in straight angles across the sky. It would stop and move, and stop and move. We watched it for about 5 minutes." Page 278. "Then it zoomed away." Let's drop down to the next highlight area. "A UFO has just been sighted over Washington, D.C. She's at home, she's watching TV, and this is what's being reported on the news. "A UFO has just been sighted over Washington, D.C., and I thought, oh my God, we really saw this thing." He said, "Details on the 11 o'clock news, and you know, they never mention a word about it. Not a word. So the government, I guess, covered it up." Let's jump over to page 279. Page 279. It reads here, we just read this one little line. "But it was now time for us to see about Diane's dream." Let's drop down to Diane. "I'm in the bed. I can feel the bed and the room. Dick's there. He's sleeping. This is the first time I remember this, but I get up and I go out to the backyard. I thought I heard something. So I go out to the backyard. It's very, very quiet. And what I heard, now I can hear it. It's humming. It's a hum. So I thought it was the pool. Maybe the pool's on." She pauses. "The next thing that happens is I start to feel very, very heavy. There's this heaviness coming over me. My whole body feels kind of funny and heavy and numb. And I look up and I see this light, just the light. So I think, well, maybe it's a helicopter, a light from a helicopter. It's shining down on my face, And then I feel this numbness, so I'm afraid. She pauses and frowns. Dr. Fiore. Tell me everything that you're aware of. Diane. I feel afraid. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm in this light, and I can't see out of the light. Talking about the helicopter light. I don't see around me. Long pause. Now I see okay. There's been a gap somewhere because now I'm walking in this large ship, and there's these, and there's these about 20 black people, meaning Negroes, sitting down in the ship on this almost like a bench. Dr. Fiore. How are they dressed? Diane, these black people are dressed in Western American style. They look very confused and disoriented. And there's this man. Now I see him beside me, but he's tall. And I said to him, why are all these black people here? And he said, well, these people were sent down into the most difficult of circumstances, like poor ghetto places for a very high service there. These are different souls, and I'm really confused. I don't understand what he's saying. And now we're going into the room. Oh, I understand. Okay, there's a time difference. I'm really there for a long time, but when I'm put back, the time hasn't changed much. I don't understand this difference, but it's like we've left the atmosphere and we've come back, possibly. Now, when it said that these people were planted, this is why we're the underdog. This is why we're looking confused. This is why we were planted. We were planted in all these, what do we call these buildings? Plantation homes, plantation fields. We were planted on these plantations. Our souls were planted on these plantations. Look, it says the field workers. Most slaves were employed in cotton fields in the following document, accompanied by pictures taken in the early 1860s. And this goes all the way back to the 16th century. Solomon Northup describes the culture of cotton on a larger plantation on the bayou, Bluff of Ayulos Parish, Louisiana. Born a free man in New York State, Northup earned money as a fiddler for entertainment before two white men drugged and kidnapped him. Now, we heard about the character Fiddler on the movie Roots. This is where they got it from. And then sold him as a slave. Northup families never gave up the search for him, and after 12 years, his freedom was restored by their efforts. There's the true fiddler and his family. This is why you saw blacks in those ships. That's why I say you could call it alien abduction. You could call it being under hypnosis. But the truth speaks through these things. And we believe that the UFOs are the angels. That's why I brought that book out. And you know, and notice as I read that book, it's going to tell you who they all worship. One creator, one power, which is Yahweh, the God of us all. Look. Look. This is why we're the underdog. Working in the fields, cotton fields. Now, this is why I said in various cities, this is in Brazil. Brazil, barbarous traffic. After the United States, Brazil was the greatest slaveholding nation in the New World. Brazil was. In the early 19th century, there were at any one time some 2 million slaves, mainly working the country's sugar plantations and exploiting the country's mineral wealth. The institution died very slowly. The slave traffic ceased only in the 1850s, and the slaves were finally emancipated only in 1888. This is why we're down in Brazil. So I got brothers down there teaching the truth. But we have brothers in Brazil teaching the truth because of that. Look at this. Plantations in Brazil. Look at that. This is in Brazil. Plantations. Slaves in transit arrive at staging posts to be sent where? To plantations. They were planted. Who are we under the supervision of? Look here. It was customary, however, in Roman Catholic lands for the master to manumit both his child and occasionally the mother as well. So we were under the Roman Catholics, not only in Brazil, but in America too. The Roman Catholics was where is the head of all churches, except for the Hebrew Israelite church, which the Hebrews, when they went to Antioch, they were called Christians. You can read about that in the book of Acts. I believe it's chapter 11. In Brazil, a number of free blacks reached positions of relatively meaningful authority. So we had taskmasters of our own, just like in Egypt. They made some of us taskmasters over our brethren. Dr. Fiore, you're going to go back to before you're in the ship. And you're going to take it moment by moment, without any gaps. You're going to allow yourself to remember everything that you experience. The numbness first and the heaviness. It's like I'm lifted. I can't stop it. It's like a magnet and I can't stop it. It's pulling me away and I think maybe I must be dying because I'm going away from the ground. She pauses. Dr. Fiore, what emotions are you feeling as this is happening? Diane, confusion. Like, am I going to be okay? Am I going to see God, the Most High? Or am I dreaming? Maybe I'm dreaming. But it happens very quickly and I'm in this room. It's a strange room. It's got a very strange metal all around it. Now I can see this room. It's almost circular and it's small and I'm seeing it better now. I see these blue lights, about 8 or 10 blue lights on the ceiling, and they're turned on. They cover the whole ceiling. They go through the whole room and something's happening from these lights. It's like my body feels the air smells funny. The air I'm breathing has a sweet smell to it. Sniffs, almost like honeysuckle. And I'm alone. It seems like I'm here a long time, but I guess not. So the thing is, over here, she saw all these black people that were dressed in Western American style, and they looked disoriented and confused. All right? Who are these people? These are the leaders of the cities. Like the scripture says, he will take 2 of a family and 1 of a city. These are those people. These are those plants. The Most High took batches of Israelites off the slave ships, or batches of Negroes off the slave ships, and put them in various parts of the world and various parts of Mystery Babylon. Originally, we were all in the poverty-stricken areas before gentrification came. And so we had a high service to do in those areas, which was teach the law, statutes, and commandments, teach that the Israelites were black and brown, and to have the faith of HAMASHAYACH. Those are the things we were to teach. And to teach of the things that are coming on the earth, like the mark, and to teach of the things that are coming on the earth, like wars, rumors of wars, nuclear missiles, bombs, the mark, and many other things. All right, on page 281, let's drop down to here, Dr. Fiore. It reads, what do you have on? Diane, she's going to explain what she has on in the ship. I have on these, it's like a white, almost like a white pair of shorts, and it ties right here, points to her waist, and a little top that ties here and here, points to the center of her chest. I don't understand this. I really don't. The door is opening. It goes inside the wall. And there's this very tall man with dark hair, and I think he's a doctor. For some reason, I think he's a doctor. I don't know why. Now I have been here for a while. I don't know what happened. So I said to him, can you make my muscles grow? Apparently she has a disease where her muscles won't grow. Can you help me to get over this disease? Long pause. Now we are walking down this hallway. Dr. Fiore, how did he answer you concerning the muscles? Listen to what he says to her. Diane, he says, the body is not as important as the spirit. Remember this part. When we go into the kingdom, this is something Yahawashi says, the body is not that important. The spirit is everything. Right? Your spirit is already well, and your body will follow. And you're here. We're watching our children. That's all he says. We're watching our children. Now, what does the Most High call his people? He calls them the children of Israel, right? We are the children of Israel, whether we're adults or actual children. We're all still called the children of Israel because we're learning the laws, statutes, and commandments, and we are his flock. Let's go to page 282. Dr. Fiore, how do you feel when you hear that? Diane, he's so special. He's so wise. When he talks, it's very low and very soft and comforting. And he touches so nice. I don't have to be afraid of him. But the black people are a little afraid. They're the first people I see. And they're up there, he said, to refresh their minds. I don't understand what he means, but they've been planted. Now the slave ships, like I said, when we were carried into Mystery Babylon, we were planted in various places. It says, but they've been planted. Their souls have been planted in specific places of high need. So by your parents migrating from the south, going north, whether going to New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Connecticut, or going to the west, going up to Chicago, going to California, Los Angeles, Colorado, Texas, if they were migrating, because there were ships landing in various places of the United States of America based on the transatlantic slave trade. There was some that went into New York, some into South Carolina, North Carolina, some went into Florida, some went into Georgia, some went into Louisiana. And from those points, our people migrated all over the United States. Even the Indians were migrating because of wars with the troops. Dr. Fiore, are they in the same room with you? Diane, no, I was alone. I asked him, what are the beautiful blue lights? It's almost like a violet blue. And he said, we put everyone here first so that their bacteria won't hurt us. Interesting. I don't understand that, but it's like a cleansing room. When you first come up, you come in here. And it's like you're sleeping and you're breathing, and these lights are killing something. Right? Look at all the foods that we're eating. These foods are killing us, right? And these foods have certain types of bacteria that lower our vibrations. And he says, back to the reading, and he said, we checked you. I don't know what happened. That's why my clothes were different. They took my clothes away, my pajamas, and it's warm out. It's cold in that room, but it's warm out in the corridor where we're walking. We're going to some other place. Dr. Fiore, where are the black people? Diane, they're sitting, waiting to go in this room. Not the blue light room, but there's another room. Sounds like the saints. There's so many of us, there's a lot of us up here. This must be a huge ship. So what other room could we possibly be going into? It's got to be a room for the saints. Dr. Fiore, how many would you say there are? Dr. Fiore is more interested in the black people who are in the ship. Diane, the corridor that I walked through is filled with people. There's like 20 here, and over there there's 30 or 40. And it's like this contact is made every so often to give us strength and to see how our bodies are doing physically. I don't understand. We're part of this group that comes into the physical body that sometimes has trouble adjusting to the vibration of the physical form. And it's like we have to learn to stay focused. How do you know this? Dr. Fiore says. Diane, that's what they're telling us. Dr. Fiore, who are they? And you think about that and look at the social media that we have. It keeps us focused on the wrong things for minutes, for hours. Some of us are on the social media for hours, some of us. No control. It's taking our focus off of what we're supposed to be doing. It lowers our vibrations. Diane, they call themselves the planters. They go to different parts of the world and different parts of other worlds to check up on their blank. It's like we're distant cousins. It's like we were planted here thousands of years ago to start the colony. And there were different planets that planted different things here. It's not like an experiment, although I'm starting to feel like one. He says, no. I feel not as evolved as they are. And I feel a little uncomfortable that I'm not on their level, like my dog might feel around me or something. I'm feeling that I hope they'll be kind because they're so far advanced. I want to be like they are, but I'm not on that level. I'm just still growing. They can do so many things. They can materialize themselves. These are angels. They can levitate things. They can travel in the ship, making this ship change form, and then beaming it up on this laser beam of light to another destination. That's what you see with the chariots. They beam in and they beam out. They levitate. They change forms. They haven't realized, the U.S. Army, the military is still trying to understand how these chariots, or so-called UAPs or so-called UFOs, how they continually change forms. There'll be a form one moment. Sometimes they're shift shape into a helicopter, sometimes a plane, but they're constantly shift shaping. And if you read Ezekiel, the first chapter, it talks about how the spirit is in the wheels. All right? And that's how they go from planet to planet. And when they take us out of orbit, we go away. I see the earth through this little window. It's green, but the time is stopped. And when we come back, it's just a few minutes different. They can do anything. They're so incredible. These are the celestial beings. Dr. Fiore, tell me what happened to you. You're walking down the corridor and you see the black people and the other people, and then what happens? Diane, they said they must keep making contact because certain people, policemen and doctors, and healing professions like therapists and psychics, social workers, and people who care, those people are drawn to try to change the negative force that is on a self-destruct cycle. So no matter what they do, they may think that they're doing right, but the end goal of all the things that they're doing takes it all to a self-destruct cycle. Amazing. The people who don't care about pollution and don't care about the natural way of the planet. And the others are waking up, and they want to try to counter that, to save the planet so we don't destroy it through some ignorance of the others. So he's saying to me that I need to pray for communication. We talk about prayer all the time. There is a part of my brain, somewhere in the middle of my brain, that enables me to tune in to a different frequency. Frequencies are very important. You have a 128 frequency that heals. You have other frequencies, a 68, I believe, another frequency that heals. Right? So frequencies are very important. What is your frequency? Be careful how I use it. Never think a negative thought toward another. For that thought is energy. So any negative thought you have towards anybody else could bring your vibration down. All right? Never think a negative thought toward another, for that thought is energy. And the higher the vibration of the one using it, the faster the energy can be created in the physical form. You ever think about somebody you ain't seen in a long time, and then they call you? Well, that's what she's talking about. It's that energy. It's a frequency. You could reach out to anyone and let them know you're thinking about them through your energy. Or you'll see them, you know, or you ever think about all of a sudden you see them because you're thinking about them and you run into them? That's an energy. We're all in this big room and we're listening to this man talk. Go out and be of service and talk to us. We're always here. You will hear us, and you must come from time to time. For this is like a renewal somehow in this room. I don't understand what we go through, but it's a renewing process to help us deal with this dimension. Sometimes the chemical imbalances can throw us off if we're not getting the right light foods. The energy waves from the television and the radio frequency, and I'll say social media, I'll throw that in here, from the phones, can disrupt us. It's too much going on. It's like we can't make our brains quiet, so we become agitated and irritated. The only way we can protect and balance is turning on that little thing in our head and changing our frequency. This enables us to help transcend time and space, to see the future, to see the past, and to help bring about healing within an individual's mind and body. Dr. Fiore, is this being explained to you? And if so, is it being explained to you individually or to all as a group? Diane, as a group. Dr. Fiore, and is one person explaining this or are there several? Diane, no, there's just that one, doctor. I call him, but I don't know why I call him doctor. When they bring you up, they do something in your brain. Dr. Fiore, let yourself remember what was done to your brain at the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just report everything that comes into your mind. Pauses, Diane. It's hard. Dr. Fiore, don't try. Just let yourself remember. Remember where you are when this is being done and what's happening. I wouldn't advise to any of y'all to go through this type of hypnosis. Okay? I'm just reading this because I want you to see how the chariots and all this stuff, it all comes to a head, right? The vibrations, the energy. Get that part of what I'm reading to you. The hypnosis part, stay away from that. All right? I'm just trying to tell y'all the correct way to worship the Father. You don't need to do all this in order to worship the Father, but this hypnosis is trying to make this person retain all their information and verbalize it so they can get the understanding of what they've been through. Diane, I'm back on the table and I'm awake, but I can't move. There's this almost like an x-ray machine that goes from the top to the bottom, I said. Top to the bottom. I said, are you going to take blood? And they said, no, we don't have to do that. Pauses. What are you looking for? We're looking for the way that you have evolved in physical form over the thousands of years. How many years have the earth been here? When you read the book of Genesis, the earth was made in 7 days. 1 day with the Most High is 1,000 years, so that's 7,000 years. Where are we at today? Well, 6,000 more years done passed. We're in the 13,000 year today. The next 14,000 year is the years of peace. That's when the Most High sends His Son back on the earth to redeem us from the hands of the wicked. That's what we're working to get to. This book has a lot to do with that because it's talking about what's going to come to pass based on the fact how close we are to the end. So it says here, what are you looking for? We're looking for the way that you have evolved in physical form over the thousands of years. Did my soul evolve with the body? And I'm not understanding how the connection is made between the soul and the body. If the soul comes in a body, that body begins to form. You can read about that in Ecclesiastes 11. Who shall know the way of the spirit? The way it enters into a baby's body. The mother has the egg, the father sends the seed in, and the baby starts to grow bones, nerves, and so forth. But the Most High puts the spirit in the baby. If the soul comes in a body, that body begins to form, like a response from the thought of the soul and the vibration of its environment, and that's what makes you look the way you do. I find truth to that. Your environment shapes the way you look. Based on the seed of your father, your environment also could transform the way you look based on where you live in the world today. Because of the foods that you eat, the type of things you do, the different vibrations that are around you, it shapes you. It shapes not only your spirit, but it shapes your mold of your body. And they're interested in my reproductive system, especially. They want to make sure that there's not a weakness for a new generation. They're speeding up production of something in my brain. It's like a radio turned on that hears frequencies, intercepting thoughts, intercepting your music, the way a radio does when you turn it on. And that's the way you explain it. It's almost like a needle, but it's not. It goes in through the top of my head into my brain somewhere. It's not. That's why we always talk about the top of your head. Leave it uncovered. Top of your head should be uncovered. All right. That's your antenna to the Most High. And your beard, you men, your beard are also antenna to the Most High. It's not really painful, but there's something going on in there. And then I feel calmer. And they told me I would have another baby. And I said, but I've had my tubes tied. And they said, no, that doesn't matter. You will have a healthy baby. And I keep asking them, this is page 286, and I keep asking them to heal my body. I keep asking them, please, can you make my muscles grow? They said, you will not get worse. Eat foods with the highest vibration on your planet. They will nourish you. And you wonder why they're taking seeds out of fruit, right? Biological warfare through the foods that we have today. They're removing the seeds. So you're removing a lot of the nutrients by not having the seed in that fruit. And you must talk to us. Talk to those of the light. That's who we are. And when you feel the light, you will get your nourishment. Bathe in the light. That is the force of love. And I feel this heat in my body, in my reproductive system. And it's like starting from there and going out. It's in my ovaries. I don't want to go home. I want to stay here because I feel lighter and I walk so easy here. I feel like I weigh 50 pounds less. And I said, on the planet, I feel heavy. I can walk here. I can bend down and get up, but I cannot go. I can't go with them. Dr. Fury, how do you know that? My vibration is not up to theirs. I can't yet disappear, just like I wrote here. Yahawashi in the book of Luke, chapter 24:32, was able to disappear. I can't yet disappear and reappear the way they can. Angels disappear and reappear as well. They come in the shape of men. He says, we will all do that eventually. And the more we pray in the light, this accelerates our vibration. That is the key to our evolution, is that contact with Yahweh, who created the universe. So wherever she is, they believe in the Most High. They believe in Yahweh. So that's why I said this has got to be angels of the Most High. And those who have gone before us, who walk in the light of love and service, this is what Yahawashi came to bring, love and service. So communication is the key to our evolution, through quietness. Just being quiet and feeling that part of the brain inside the middle, asking it to turn on like a radio, and then waiting to receive our information. All things are known through that receiver. That's how the Holy Spirit comes in you. You got to walk in the Spirit by obedience and faith. Those who don't do it become pulled down to the force of a lower vibration. You follow other gods, it will lower your vibration. You eat bad foods, it will lower your vibration. If you're guilty by association, that will also lower your vibration. Your association, those you associate with. And they'll become angry and hurtful. You must awaken that part of the brain. They say, turn that on and join the light, and then help others to awaken their light as well. We all then hold hands and affirm our missions, and we would be stronger together. Who holds hands? Diane. All the people in the room from all over our area, the Bay Area, they work this area today. So she started out in D.C., but this angel is talking about the Bay Area, which is in California. And they only come back ever so many years, it feels like. But this trip is the biggest one. So we are being planted in all cities across the globe, mainly in northern countries, also as well as southern countries, because the southern countries have tentacles that go back to the northern countries. But this trip is the biggest one. They seem to be concerned about the bombs and the lack of love between countries, just like the scripture says in Isaiah 24, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Why? Because a bomb is going to hit the land. It's going to be shot and not returned. In 2 Ezra chapter 15, it talks about who could stop the arrow that's been shot from one end of the earth to the other. And so people, and that's talking about the nuclear bombs, the ICBM missiles. And so people have to be stronger in order to little by little raise the vibration of the planet. So it's saying that you have to be stronger in your understanding, in the way that you live, so you could teach others. Dr. Fiore, how do you know this? Diane, that's what we've learned, and we feel it in our hearts. They say that the animals are also part of this. We are to the animals as they are to us. They're in our care. And if we can love those things that are evolving toward the light, that will enable love to come to us more as well. How can we kill our animals and destroy our nature? If we can learn these lessons, we can go on into a different vibration where we will be able to drop the heaviness of physical form and travel among the stars, free of disease, free of aging. We all want to stay, but we wake up. I wake up in bed. I remember only part of the dream. Dr. Fiore, let's see how you got from the ship to your bed. Let yourself remember at the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Diane, I'm standing on this disc. It's a circle about 4 feet by 4 feet, like Yahawashi was standing on the cloud in Acts chapter 1, when he went back into the heavens. And the ship seems to be very high up in the sky. I mean, I can see the outline of California. I'm so far up. Are you in the ship at this point? Diane, I'm in the ship, and we're standing on these discs, and then I feel that numbness again, and I see that bright light again, and then I'm in my bed. And this metal thing I'm standing on in the ship is very, very dense. Where do you think they got Silver Surfer from? Many people had these dreams about these type of events. It's a different feeling, or a metal I've never stood on before. And I don't have any shoes on, and I'm in my pajamas. In the pajamas. Let's drop down to here. Dr. Fiore, do you recognize anyone? Diane, no. And there was, in that corridor, a lot of black people all together. Dr. Fiore, were these same black people together in the room where you were all holding hands? Diane, yes, they were there. And when I looked at them, they were the most beautiful people. How about that? Their eyes were so beautiful. And they seemed so wise. These were people with the Spirit of the Most High. They were evidently in more distressed areas of our area. And they were working with people who had really gotten out of balance. They were very religious and very filled with such joy in the face of what seemed to be a lot of obstacles to overcome. So I felt very good where they were. They were beautiful spirits, and they needed a lot of extra encouragement. Dr. Fury, were you given any information about your specific role? Diane, we all seem to be taught that we were to show others how to awaken that part of them inside the brains that helps to communicate with the light. I remember asking if the light had to do with the earth, and it was the universal light. In other words, there seemed to be one light for everybody, Yahawashi. And even then, the extraterrestrials, even though the planet was still young, they had come and had children with some of the people, so some physically were a little more evolved. But the light was for everybody, and it would renew and strengthen on all levels, no matter what the evolvement was. So this is talking about spiritually, they had children. So it seemed like there was a central point for this light that radiated out to the planets. And that light is high consciousness of thought that is pure in every sense of the word. We call it Yahweh on this planet. They never mentioned too much about specific religions or anything like that, just universal light. It was in each of us, and all we had to do was ask for it to awaken and to grow. That's all we had to do, nothing else. Okay, I'm going to read this book. It's called The Thread. It kind of jumps in where the other book left off, the book of Encounters. But this book is called The Threat, Revealing the Secret Alien Agenda, David M. Jacobs, Ph.D. Now, these people, most of them have college scholar degrees. I like to read things like this sometimes just to get my mind off of other things, and then I'll look through the scriptures and see if there's any truth in anything that they're talking about. And a lot of times there is some truth. And so, going to page 233, I found this interesting. And this is something that one of the abductees had mentioned. I'll start here. It says, during Allison Reed's 5-day abduction, she witnessed many scenes of devastation. The aliens told her that when I see the aliens, I think of angels. The aliens told her that during a future period of human strife, they will intercede and save us from ourselves. Roxanne Ziegler's experience ended with optimism. She saw army people in uniforms, and then there was an explosion. So this is all future events. And then I see a bomb going off. It's like a mushroom. It's kind of like everything, like turning black and white. And the color is all gone. It's like sheer desolation and a raging fire, trees burn, and animals running. People with like black, blistered skin, kind of nothingness, just smoldering. Kind of like Terminator, when you saw Sarah Connors at the park and that famous explosion happened and she burns up holding the cyclone fence. And everything all quiet and still black and white. The sun is coming out and a vague whiteness is like covering the land. There's like something I've heard before. It's like all well that ends well. It's like there's this voice coming out of the sky. And this brightness envelops the earth. And the darkness is going away. And the desolation is going away. And the grass is growing. And there's some butterflies that are coming out. And the flowers are growing. And it's like luminous beings. Who are the luminous beings? The saints, the angels. It's almost like angelic figures around and all in light. And the people are moving around and doing all kinds of things. And people are smiling again. Everybody looks healthy and strong. And children are playing games outside, kind of like being in the kingdom. Was that Isaiah chapter 8? The animals look content. And the forest is green. There are ships, lots of ships. And all these people are coming out of the ships. It's like people are greeting each other. And they're kind of like, okay, back to business, so to speak. There are a lot of ships arriving. And people are coming out from the ships, almost as if some of them had been here before. It's like they've been away a while, but it's like they're coming home. This is probably the resurrection of those who had passed away and that are coming back. It reads, when they come out of the ships, how do they look? Do they look just like normal people? They're not wearing the same clothes that we wear. They're coming out with like this luminous cloth, like we read in 2nd Ezra. But they're all different colors, like all different races. They're taking these beings too, and it's like they're showing them around. It's like there's no fear of them or anything. I get the feeling, though, that these, the ones that are still look alien. They still can't live here. I guess they can stay for short periods of time because they're celestial beings. Then they have to at least go to their ships or something. But these are parts of them that are with us because they have all these other people that are a mixture. Things won't go back the way they were. Things will be better. There will be a lot of different technology, and people can utilize their gifts. People will learn to get along better. At least these people have. There is more respect for the earth and all that's living, and there is more love and acceptance, more opportunity to realize good potential. The screen is fading. This person who is standing beside me seems to be saying that, don't worry, it won't be so bad as it looks. We just had to test your emotions. Being on this earth, this stage of life. There will be changes, and it won't be so bad. They are not causing the changes to take place on the earth, but something's coming. He says that we need them. They have to make people like them that can survive in our society. We need what they have to offer. In other words, we might have an awful time trying to recover, and their being here will make things easier for us not to be afraid. Now he says something is coming. Does he say what's coming or not? He says it'll be made clear as time goes by. He says what they are doing is necessary. It has to be done. And they're not trying to hurt us in any way. But some of the things may hurt. They try to take away the pain. They try to make the memories go because the memories give us trouble here with the people. And it's not time yet. But eventually all will be all right. It'll all become clear. Yeah, when the Most High returns. All right, listen to this. This is page 235. This title is called The Change in the Role of Abductees, or the Saints, I call it. Let's start here at if. It reads, if these accounts of salvation are true, then the aliens, or then the angels' message is clear. After the catastrophe, whatever it is, takes place, the late stage hybrids, or saints, and perhaps the aliens, the angels themselves, will engage in a general integration into human society. As one hybrid told, or one saint told Claudia Negron, soon all life will be changed. People will be different. Presumably, we will all live in peace and harmony. The environment will be healthy, and there will be no more war or conflict. Like the environmental message, the salvation message may have a subliminal purpose, a reassuring communication to be used before or during the change. This suggests that saints or abductees, the aliens, the angels, rarely mention non-abductees or non-saints, might have a more active role in the future program of integration. These plans are revealed in a variety of ways. How about that? So yeah, I wanted to bring these two books out because they kind of go hand in hand with each other, but it sounds a lot like prophecy that's in the scriptures. A lot of the scriptures that we go through when it deals with prophecies and us going back into the kingdom sound like this. In the book of Revelation, chapter 11, it speaks about that we'll be pulled up into a cloud while our enemies behold us. And what is that cloud? We all know what the clouds are. They're angels. Ezekiel speaks of all these things happening in Ezekiel chapter 13 and Ezekiel chapter 8 when he gets pulled between the heavens and the earth. He speaks about how the Israelites would come back to the fold and will wake up and understand the difference between the seat of jealousies and its abominations versus who the Most High is and what we're supposed to do as a people, which is wake up our people by strengthening our vibration and our frequencies to bring more brothers and sisters into the fold. Okay? So, in a way, we are like that. We're abducting our fellow brothers and sisters into the truth. They're getting abducted into the truth. And once you get abducted into the truth, there's no going back. All right? So, I want to show you the mindset of the Negroes. A good person to look at is Benjamin Banneker. Let me show you the mindset of Benjamin Banneker. I'm going to read an article in a book that tells you the mind of Benjamin Banneker, the sharpness of his mind when it comes to the stars and the sun and the moons and the almanacs. I would like to read this book to you regarding who those Negroes are on the ship. All right, this is a book called Tribute for the Negro. The Colored Portion of Mankind. This book was written in 1848, copyrighted in 1848 by Wilson Armistead. And I just want to go to page 350 and just kind of scour over this part of Benjamin Banneker just to show you the wisdom of the Negro, which they said he was less than a man. It says he was born in Baltimore County, his father being an African and his mother of pure African descent. His parents have obtained their freedom, were enabled to send him to the obscure school, where he learned when a boy reading, writing, and arithmetic, and they left him at their decease. A few acres of land upon which he subsequently supported himself with economy and exertion, so as always to preserve reputation. So he was very obedient in his day-to-day chores. It says to struggle incessantly against want is by no means favorable improvement. What he had learned he did not forget. And as some hours of leisure will occur in the most toilsome life, he availed himself of these, not to read and require knowledge from writings of genius and discovery, for of such he had none, but to digest and apply as occasions presented the few principles of the few rules of arithmetic he had been taught at school. So he remembered arithmetic. This kind of mental exercise formed his chief amusement. This is why you have to practice something every day, like even practicing reading. The reason why I'm reading about these other books is because practice makes perfect. I read various books, okay, and it sharpens me. And soon gave him a facility in calculation that was often serviceable to his neighbors, and at length attracted the attention of the Mirs Eliakat, a family remarkable for their ingenuity. This is about the year 1788 that George Eliakat lent him 3 astronomical works and some instruments accompanying them with neither hint or instruction that might further his studies, or lead him to apply them to any useful result. These books and instruments, the first of the kind of Banneker had ever seen, opened a new world to him, and he began to employ his leisure in astronomical researches. Having taken up the idea of making calculations for an almanac, he completed a set for a whole year. Encouraged by this attempt, he entered upon calculations for subsequent years, which, as well as the former, he began and finished without the least assistance from any person or books than the 3 volumes mentioned. So he was very intrigued by arithmetic and the study of the stars, where he put together an almanac, so that whatever merit is attached to his performance is exclusively and peculiarly his own. He published Almanac in Philadelphia in 1792, 3 and 4 and 5, which contained his calculations exhibiting the different aspects of the planets, a table of the motions of the sun and moon, their rising and setting, and the courses of the bodies of the planetary system. These calculations were so thorough and exact as to excite the approbation of Pitt, Fox, Wilberforce, and other eminent men, and one of his almanacs was produced in the British House of Commons. I've been in this British House of Commons when it was closed. I was able to walk all around of the British House of Commons as an argument in favor of the mental cultivation of the colored people and of their liberation from their wretched thraldom. Imlay says that in New England he knew a Negro who kept an astronomical journal and who had composed ephemerides. These is the study of the stars, right? So he knew the study of the stars, the rotation of the moon, the sun, and he knew it to an exact point. The Most High blessed him with this gift. He does not mention his name. If it was Banneker, it is a testimony to his talents. They wasn't even sure if this was Banneker or somebody else. The Most High normally gives this gift to multiple people. It's not just to one. He always gives it to multiple people around the earth. This is something that I've noticed. With gunpowder, it was introduced in the scriptures of Daniel, but it was also introduced in the land of Moab in China, and then in Europe. If some other Negroes, it affords further evidence of the ability of the race. When Banneker had prepared his first almanac for publication, he sent a copy of the MS to Jefferson, then President of the United States, with the following letter, the composition of which bespeaks considerable ability. Maryland, Baltimore County, August 19, 1791. All right, so he wrote a letter to the President of the United States, showing him his homework dealing with almanacs. And it was so precise that when they saw it, they said no man could do something of this nature. But Benjamin Banneker could. And there was somebody else, but his name was not mentioned. But this is showing the gifts that the Negroes had and still have. What's keeping our vibrations low right now? Radio, television, social media. It's keeping us from letting our brains explore, which means it's taking up our time of sophisticated learning. So Banneker wrote a letter to the president, and let me show you how smart he was, even in wisdom, that he was no dunce in seeing the captivity of his people. It says here, I'm going to read this one paragraph. It says, "Here was a time in which your tender feelings for yourselves had engaged you thus to declare. You were then impressed with proper ideas of the great violation of liberty and the free possession of those blessings to which you were entitled by nature. But, sir," he's talking to the president here, "how pitiable is it to reflect that although you were so fully convinced of the benevolence of the Father of mankind," talking about they all so-called believe in the Most High, they all consider themselves Christians, "and of his equal and impartial distribution of these rights and privileges which he hath conferred upon them, that you should at the same time counteract his mercies." Like you're going to say, okay, he gave us all this wisdom, but he didn't give nobody else the wisdom. "In detaining by fraud and violence so numerous a part of my brethren under groaning captivity," talking about the Negroes who were in captivity, "and cruel oppression." Here you could say one thing saying God has blessed you, at the same time you got another man in captivity. "That you should at the same time be found guilty of that most criminal act." The so-called white men, which are the Edomites, who were ruling at that time, were under the guilty criminal acts of theft, which they accuse us of doing when we were poor, destitute, didn't have any food to eat. They were much worse. "Which you professedly detested in others with respect to yourselves." This is going into Psalms chapter 50, where they took his words and threw them behind him and agreed with the thief before they agreed with someone who was just and innocent. Your knowledge of the situation of my brethren is too extensive to need a recital here. Neither shall I presume to prescribe methods by which they may be relieved. Otherwise, than by recommending to you and all others to wean yourself from those narrow prejudices which you have imbibed with respect to them. And as Job proposed to his friends, put your soul in their soul's stead. Thus shall your hearts be enlarged with kindness and benevolence towards them. So here's Benjamin Banneker speaking of the scriptures and writing to his superiors, telling them, how dare you look down on the Negroes? So again, we are the underdogs. We are just, if not more, wiser than most of these people. Why? Because we believe in the Heavenly Father Yahweh, who gives us the gifts to do things that are not known to man. And they underestimate us, which we are the Israelites. Just to bring out a fact, I want to go to page 64, and I want to drop down to the second paragraph, and notice what it says about Jews. Now, when you see this word Jews, don't always think of Caucasian. The Jews were originally black. And so when it's speaking about the Jews here, think of these Jews as being originally, through antiquity, as being black, not Caucasian. The Caucasians are stock that came after, through conversion. The Jews, however, slightly, their features may have assimilated to those of other nations amongst whom they are scattered. From the senses or the causes already stated certainly form a very striking example as regards the uncertainty of perpetuity in color, descended from one stock and prohibited by the most sacred institutions from intermarrying with the people of other nations, and yet dispersed according to the divine prediction into every country on the globe. This one people is marked with the colors of all, fair in Britain and Germany, brown in France and in Turkey. Why were they fair in Britain and Germany? Because here in these particular countries, they were intermarrying with nations who were not Israelites. They were marrying heathen nations. Some were of Caucasian stock, some of Chinese stock, and their offspring became lighter in shades. But it says brown in France and in Turkey, swarthy, meaning dark, in Portugal and in Spain, olive, there's only two types of olive, green and black, so this is talking about black, olive in Syria and in Chaldea, tawny or copper colored in Arabia and in Egypt, which they are black at Congo in Africa. See that? So you have to know your history when it comes to reading books. And we all know that the indigenous Jews were of African or black stock. Not so much African, because that is a new name that came about, but they were of a darker hue, very dark hue, dark complexion. Okay, let's go to page 66 of the same book. And let's start here, where it says it. It is probably an allusion to this case that Pennington, who's an author, in his textbook says, the descendants of a colony of Jews, originally from Judea, settled on the coast of Africa, west coast of Africa, are black. M. Rosette declares that there are many negresses in the Algerian country, whether they have doubtless been brought from the interior of Sudan and very probably from Hassa, who are of the jet black color, but with truly Roman countenances. Right, so these are talking about the Israelites who migrated down in Africa. not up from Africa into northern regions, but down into Africa. They were originally, again, I speak, dark, Negro-like Jews. Okay? Now, were the Jews scattered all over the earth? Absolutely. In the Americas, you had dark Jews who were of the 10 tribes of Israel, but they were replanted through the transatlantic slave trade into more parts of the Americas. And this is what I meant when I read the book of Encounters called Souls Being Planted in Various Places in America, which I also call Mystery Babylon. So you have to ask yourself, why are they so focused on black people, so-called Negroes, that are in these regions, in these areas? And the reason is because the black people, the people of African American, Negroid, Indigenous, Indian descent, are the true underdogs of the society. They're expected to lose. So why not look at somebody who's considered to be the bottom of the caste system, who are taken from a region of their own homes and taken into strange lands? They're the underdog.
Because, I've always wished I could have a black American as a tourist. Because I've been in the business for, believe me, I've been in the business for 5 years, and I've never, ever seen or had any black American with me.
Really?
I'm
So
telling you.
I'm the first.
You're the first.
It's incredible.
And I'm so happy. I'm enjoying every second.
Our brother. Our brother. Hopefully I'm not the last, man. I don't think many black Americans even come
I
here.
don't think so, man.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've had so many people come from Europe, from America, from everywhere.
Yeah.
None of
A
them
lot.
was dark skinned.
It takes a crazy, risky person, to come and,
Yes.
and
I
test
was
it out.
wondering and asking myself, am I ever going to have one?
So this is your first time meeting
Yeah,
a black
is.
American?
It is.
Wow.
Man,
That
it
is
is. I would
impressive.
work for free just to have one of them.
Oh my God.
You guys here.
So you're-
It even feels different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like
It
because
feels
we,
different.
it's like we see each other like we're,
Yeah.
like we're literally one,
Exactly.
We look alike, so we see one another in each other, So when we see each other, it's like an unspoken thing. It's like, man, that's my brother.
That's the point.
That's my
That's
people.
it. You're because
He could have used anybody else on the face of the planet. He could have used the Arabs. He could have used the Chinese. Could have used the Japanese. But no, he chose the lowest of the lowest, according to today's society class system or caste system, which are those of Negroid and Indigenous Indian descent. Those are the ones that he chose to be his saints. This is why we're the underdog. This is a book called History of Slavery by Suzanne Everett. Look at this figure. We had a lot of things to overcome. This is, am I not a man and a brother? The plaque of freedom. This is undoubtedly the most popular symbol. This was a popular symbol around the world of abolitionism. Was that devised by the potter Josiah Wedgwood. In 1787, Wedgwood decided to make his own contribution to the cause by producing a medallion below and distributing copies to his friends. He made some 200,000 in circulation, and even sent some to Benjamin Franklin, who declared himself much affected by contemplating the figure. The image was reproduced in countless prints and drawings, and in at least one case on a child sampler. And you see this was a child sampler. It's what they put their food on to eat. So they made mockery of us, even when we were asking for our freedom. This is why we're the underdog. No one expects us to get victory from our captivity. There's another one, Atrocity of the Congo. This is Mr. Leopold himself. He killed millions, 31 million people or more He was considered the snake. The snake came into the wilderness, pursuant to Revelation chapter 12, aka the dragon. Chased the Israelites to a faraway land, which is called Mystery Babylon, which is America, where they nursed us for a season, which is America. Yeah, a lot of y'all don't like to include the Australians, but they were in here too. They were also taken into captivity. Blackbirds for Australia. Pacific Islanders like these made up the workforce acquired by traders. Lampoon in the cartoon far right, who captured them and transported them to work in the Australian sugar plantations around the turn of the century. Yeah, the Australians, a lot of the Fijians, right? They were taken into captivity. New Zealand, they were taken into captivity and replanted. Okay? So you can't exclude our fellow brothers and sisters who are in the islands. We were scattered all over the world. Arab slave traders captured by the British pose after their landing in Zanzibar. Look at all these black Jews in Zanzibar. Newly released slaves posed with 2 British sailors in Zanzibar before the return of their homelands. Alright, this is us on ships. The Arabs also helped with putting us in captivity. Alright. But cutting the Arab slave trade route. You can see the Arabs hacking us down on ships. They were the middlemen. Just like when Joseph got sold into Egypt, it was the Ishmaelites who sold him into captivity into Egypt. Like Ecclesiastes pronounced, there's nothing new under the sun. So they did it then, and they did it again. Arab traders beat their cargo into submission on the run from the African coast of Zanzibar. See that? It's the Arab slave trade. We went on ships as well. So looking at all this information in this video of UFO reports hidden by the military, hidden by the government, and looking at how the so-called blacks of America have been treated for so long. So why would you even try to have a control opposition narrative of lying to all the people of the world on who the so-called blacks and indigenous Indians really are after all they've been through? And why is it a surprise to see those in the UFOs taking our side if we have been treated so unfairly for centuries by the so-called white races? And we still don't hold negative thoughts against you. But one thing for sure is, we know who you are now. The Most High will bring judgment on Jacob's enemies for truth's sakes, and bring salvation to the 12 tribes of Israel through the whirlwinds of fire.